What's your favorite magazine? You already have an image in mind, don't you? Probably one of the magazine covers from your favorite publisher. For me, it would have to be the Afghan girl on the cover of National Geographic magazine, or one of the iconic Vogue covers that featured Beyonce. I bet you already know the images that I'm talking about. That's how impactful a great magazine cover design can be. So, what are the elements of a magazine cover design? That's something that before we even get started creating our magazine cover, we need to get prepared by looking at characteristics and rules for magazine cover design. So, what are the essential or key elements of a magazine cover design? Here are the essential elements of a magazine cover. First, you have the masthead or the headline. Second, you have the issue and date line. Third, main image. Fourth, lead article. You have supporting cover lines. And you have the barcode, which often actually includes pricing as well, but not always. So now let's take them one by one and get into some more details. So what are the key elements of a magazine cover design? Well, let's look at the masthead. All right, the masthead indicates the name of the publication. The masthead should stand out beside the other elements. It's good practice to set it right in the center and make it as big as possible. It will also help people to recognize your magazine among all others. So follow what magazine designers do and use a big and bold font for the masthead. Also, don't forget that the masthead's color has a crucial role in making it pop even more. So it's helpful to adapt the title's color to match the image and theme you'll use on the front cover. So in review, masthead is the name of the publication. Most crucial aspect of the cover design, must stand out the most, use big and bold font, have it right in the center. Most of the time it should be right in the center. And use color to help the masthead contrast against the background. There has to be lots of contrast. So what are the elements of a magazine cover design? Let's move on and talk about the issue and date line. So this section contains the date, month, year, and issue number of the publication. Some magazines like Vogue only specify the month and year as they only publish one issue for each month. And usually some magazines also add the price for this section as well. So it contains month, year, and issue. Most magazines also add, most magazines would say would also add the price to this section, but not always. Okay. Moving on, what is next? You have the main image. The main image here is the model, of course. The main image should best reflect what the issue is all about. Big magazines typically portray a well-known celebrity or a visually appealing image that easily triggers an emotion. One thing you should have in mind when designing your magazine cover is to use professional images. When you invest in high quality photos and have a cover image that stands out among the others, you improve the chances of selling more. Also, keep in mind that the image you use will draw the readers in and make them curious to know everything your magazine contains. So in review, the image represents what the magazine issue is all about, typically portrays a well-known celebrity, visually appealing image that triggers an emotion. And by the way, you don't always have to have a well-known celebrity. That's just typical. Appealing image that triggers an emotion. Okay, so that would be instead of a celebrity, just some kind of an image that triggers an emotion. Use professional, high-quality images for the cover. The main image should draw the reader in and make them curious about what's inside. What is next as we dissect the anatomy of a magazine cover? Oh, here we go, the lead article. The lead article reflects the central issue of a magazine, maybe an interview with an artist, an expert on the subject. The list can really go on and on. It's recommended to use a different font for the lead article to let the reader know the issue's theme and main story. So it reflects the central issue of the magazine. Recommended to use a different font for the lead article. It's not required, it's just recommended. Okay. Supporting cover lines. The supporting cover lines are topics that can revolve around the same theme or simply be completely different subjects. When it comes to placing them on the magazine's cover, the key is balance. Try to make them clear, short, and concise. Also, go for a more subtle font and choose a smaller size to avoid distracting the reader from the main attraction. Okay, topics that can revolve around the same thing, but they don't have to. They may be completely different. The placement on the magazine cover should be balanced. That's really important. And they should be short, clear, and concise. Use a smaller and more subtle font. And you can see the arrow pointing to here. You can see that it's a smaller, more subtle font. These ones here are the supporting cover lines. There's more here, here. There's 3 of them here. They're all nicely balanced up. Okay, and last, in the anatomy of a magazine cover is the barcode. Leave space for the barcode in some area of your design, most often in the corner, but not always. You can look at examples in Google Images and you will see where the barcodes are located on most magazines. Sometimes the price is added directly above the barcode as well, or built inside of the barcode. All right. Now that we've taken a look at the anatomy of a magazine cover, let's jump into the rules that will make people buy your magazine. All right. Here are the 10 golden rules of magazine cover design. 10 golden rules, all right? These are really important. First one, I didn't put 1 through 10, I did bullet points. So bullet point 1, place the magazine name in the most obvious place. Okay. Second, use the same cover template for all magazine issues. We will talk about templates later. Work with grids and layouts. Decide on a focus point, then build everything else around that focus point. Play with font styles. Emphasize powerful words. Use color and contrast in your overall design. Place a portrait on the cover. Avoid busy backgrounds. Dare to be bold. Go for illustrations. And when we refer to illustrations, just think about it as drawings, okay? Drawings. Okay. So we already talked about how important the title, name, or masthead is. That's why the first thing you should start with is placing the magazine name in the most visible place. Most magazines put it right in the middle of the magazine. It's easier this way for people to notice the magazine among the others. So the overall layout of the magazine cover should be organized around your magazine's name. One rule that all professional designers follow is to make the magazine's name the most prominent feature of the cover. So make it big, bold, and as visible as possible. Okay, put it right in the middle of the magazine. You don't always have to do that, but for the most part you should, unless you have a better idea, which is open for discussion. The overall layout of the magazine cover should be organized around that magazine's name. Okay. So organize and align your design. Work with grids and layouts. All right, you can see over here, this is the actual grid that this person used. So it helps you align your fonts. It helps you align elements, pictures, and things like that in your magazine cover so that they're all matched up the same. One doesn't go over the border, you know. So these grids and layouts can be extremely helpful. So use grids and layouts to help you organize and align your design elements. This will help you keep all things clean and neat for your readers. Grids and layouts are especially important for printing. So professional designers and print studios use the grids and layouts to help them determine where the safe margins are and where the magazine should be cut. Okay, that's mainly the main purpose of using grids and layouts. Well, not just that, it also helps you design well. Okay. So decide on a focal point. Think about your focus point and build everything else around it. So whenever you want to design a magazine cover, you have to begin with the purpose in mind. So depending on the subject, whether it be fashion, nature, cooking, business, et cetera, pick one and build everything around it. For instance, the fashion magazines usually feature models as the cover's focal point. And we can see what the focal point is here. But you could also use an object or a headline. So the crucial thing is to make sure that your subject is best reflected in your design. So in review, decide on a focus point and build everything else around it. The main subject should be the focus point. Popular main subjects include, but are not limited to, fashion, sports, homemaking, cooking, nature, travel, and business. Of course, there are others, lots and lots others. Once you choose your focus point, all other design elements are built around it. Playing with font styles. We're looking at this magazine cover design when referring to font styles. This has an incredibly beautiful array of fonts and font colors. So let's talk about this a little bit. As you already know, font styles play a significant role in how a magazine cover looks. They can either instantly attract attention or not get anything at all. So yes, that's how much relevance they have. For instance, take inspiration from the Kate Moss Vogue cover, of course. The portrait of the well-known model is the main attraction, but the combination of colors, pink, yellow, and white, beautifully complements the photography. Also, notice that some fonts are bold, while others are not, and some have serif fonts, and others are kept simple and clean. Combining font styles can help you balance out the magazine cover design. So font plays a huge role in how a magazine cover looks. They can attract attention or not get any attention at all. Use font pairings. So font pairings are when you pair two different fonts together, such as Who's That Girl? That's one type of font, and the one below is a completely different font. It's very thin, it's very light. It has more serifs in it. So that's what I mean by pairing. Pairing opposites is really popular. We're going to talk more about font pairings as we get into the project. So font pairings choose different fonts, usually no more than 3, sometimes 2, that create contrast in a harmonizing way. The opposites actually attract each other. So that's the basic premise of font pairings. Emphasize powerful words. The primary purpose of the magazine cover design is to sell the stories inside. So what better way to do than through emphasizing powerful words? So the short teasers reflected through subheadings are the elements that can trigger the reader's curiosity. So don't neglect the value of using specific words that appear in headlines. And here, let's take a look. So words that emphasize power. You want to use those if you can. You can see in this magazine issue, obviously the word rebel exclamation point really emphasizes power. It's a very demanding word, demands your attention. When you use powerful words, you force the reader's attention. Powerful words can include now, free, gifts, and exclusive, but that's just 4 examples. There are 100 other ones. Okay, so it's not limited to those. Using powerful words increases your chance of having a perfect magazine cover that will sell itself. So using color strategically. Color, and color. It's so powerful, yes. Use plenty of color and contrast in your design. When it comes to selecting colors, never ever choose randomly. You first have to decide the image you're going to use, and starting from that point, infuse the overall cover design with pops of colors to make it stand out. It's definitely very important. All right. You can also think about coordinating colors for a chic look, like the one below, or like the one to the side here. All right, so don't underestimate the power of color. Choose several colors that contrast well against each other. Opposite colors on the color wheel contrast very well against each other, like blue and orange, or yellow and violet, okay, many others too. Play around with color in your fonts. Play around with color in your fonts. Never randomly. This is the biggest thing. It's a major no-no. Do not randomly add color to your design without planning it out, without planning out the colors you will use. So, place a portrait on the cover. Place a portrait of a guy chopping the letter E on your cover, looking kind of stern and creepy. Using portraits is a common practice in magazine cover design. Celebrity portraits are the most popular because readers are curious to find out the latest news. Eye contact is best when taking or using a portrait. Normally, when you look at a magazine cover and if there's a portrait on there, the person is actually looking into the camera. I would say 95% of the time. The other 5% of the time, they're not. And that's really up to you. So it's not a rule. I'm just stating what's usually most common. So yeah, eye contact is best when taking or using a portrait, but not always. Backgrounds should be free of busy distractions. That is absolutely enormously important. Free of busy distractions. So that's why this is like a major one here that we want to talk about. All right. All right, you see quite a bit of background here, but believe it or not, it's actually not considered busy. It's not considered busy. So busy backgrounds can dilute the message you're trying to tell your readers. So keep the magazine cover elements pretty organized to achieve a professional look. It's also recommended that the model on the cover is on a transparent or solid background, as it will be easier to make the headlines stand out a bit more. So this iconic magazine, I think it's called Bazaar, the cover with a well-known actress. You can notice the image is quite blurred through the margins, but designers will still kept the overall cover pretty minimalistic to let the image get all the attention. So follow their example when you have an image that you want to be the central point of your magazine cover and avoid having busy backgrounds. So what's being said here is that the background is pretty blurred out and it's all sort of the main color, or I'm sorry, it's all kind of blue. It's all kind of one color and a little bit blurry. So it dulls the background, therefore drawing more attention to the model. So this is hard to do. That's like some pretty tricky photography. So for the most part, models should have, you should have a solid color background behind the model for the most part. Busy backgrounds can dilute the message you are trying to tell. Busy backgrounds make it difficult for the reader to focus on what's important in the design. Sometimes backgrounds are blurred out so they don't distract the reader. The best backgrounds are none at all. Portrait photographs can be taken against a solid color backing. They should be taken against a solid color backing. Blurred background. Moving on. Dare to be bold. Go for illustrations. Generally speaking, photos perform better than illustrations. And when we talk about illustrations here, we're talking about all these cute little drawings. You got the little bottle here. You got the wine glass, the fork, the fonts even drawn out, scribbled crumbs, title of the magazine, all of the drawings around this coffee bean. That's what we say when we say go for illustrations. And photos typically are better than illustrations, but not always, not always. For a fun look, you can mix the two or add some drawings to the photographs. So if you want to do that for your magazine cover, think about how you can do it. in a way that mixes well with the photography. So, dare to be bold, go for illustrations. For a fun look, you can mix photos and illustrations. You can even add some drawings to photographs. Photographs should always be the dominant feature, and that is true, the photograph. I mean, look at this delicious dessert here, whatever that is. The drawings are not too many. They're small, and they're nicely built and balanced around this main focal point. So photographs should always be the dominant feature. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes this video. Please make sure that you take your notes, and looking forward to getting into the project.